Good morning and welcome to this thought for the day for Monday, and today we're going to look at John's Gospel chapter 7 and beginning at verse 37. On the last and greatest day of the feast, Jesus stood up said in a loud voice, "If anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, streams of living water will flow from within him." By this he meant the Spirit, whom those who believed in him were later to receive. Up to that time the Spirit had not been given, since Jesus had not yet been glorified. On hearing his words, some of the people said, "Surely this man is the prophet." Others said, "He is the Christ." Still others asked, "How can the Christ come from Galilee? Does not the scripture say that the Christ will come from David's family and from Bethlehem, the town where David lived?" Thus the people were divided because of Jesus. Some wanted to seize him, but no one laid a hand on him. Finally, the temple guards went back to the chief priests and Pharisees, who asked them, "Why didn't you bring him in?" "No one ever spoke the way this man does," the guards declared. "You mean he's deceived you also?" the Pharisees retorted. "Has any of the rulers or of the Pharisees believed in him? No, but this mob that knows nothing of the law, there's a curse on them." Nicodemus, who had gone to Jesus earlier and who was one of their own number, asked, "Does our law condemn anyone without first hearing him to find out what he's doing?" They replied, "Are you from Galilee too? Look into it. You'll find that a prophet does not come out of Galilee." It's a great passage full of veins of thought and truth. It comes as Jesus was teaching in the latter part of the Feast of the Tabernacles, which is the time when the Jews remembered their wilderness wanderings and spent a week living in tents. And at the end of the feast, when Jesus is speaking, those tents were being dismantled. And on each day of the feast, the priests would go down to the pool of Siloam at the bottom of the hill on which the temple was built, and they would fill a pitcher with water and carry it up into the temple and pour it into a funnel which led under the altar. And there are various thoughts attached to this pouring of water on the Feast of Tabernacles. It recalled the provision of water in the desert under Moses in the wilderness wanderings, and it also resonated with thoughts like the passage at the end of Ezekiel, where Ezekiel speaks of a river of water flowing from under the door of the temple and increasing and increasing, a thought which is picked up at the end of the book of Revelation, in Revelation chapter 22. And Jesus picks up all these thoughts and then turns them to himself. "If anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, streams of living water will flow from within him." By this he meant the Spirit. And so these different passages of prophecy in scripture are drawn together on the Feast of Tabernacles and picked up by Jesus and applied to himself. "Come to me if you're thirsty and drink. I will give you living water, water that will flow out from within you." And it's a lovely picture that foretells the coming of the Spirit and the way in which, as we read in the Acts of the Apostles, the Spirit came onto the disciples and flowed out from them, and the emanation of the Spirit flowed out into more and more people as the church grew and changed the world. And it's a picture that we can pick up for ourselves at the beginning of this week. As we come to Jesus, we can drink from him and be filled with the Spirit. And the Spirit is not just to quench our thirst, but it is to flow out from us into the world around us. I hope it's a picture that we can hold on to. It's a picture that we can feed upon, and that we can be open to the Spirit, longing to be vessels that the Spirit will fill, and from whom the Spirit will overflow into the lives of others, drawing them to Jesus. Have a great week.